Despite shooting under 50% from the charity stripe this season, Ballo nailed 7 of his 8 attempts to mount the charge in a gutsy comeback win. Not so fast this year. With a 2-2 record so far, the Golden Bears have shown some strides this year to make them, as crazy as it sounds out loud, a 12.5-point favorite over the Sun Devils tomorrow. And she's sort of coined what you've built here as a culture of care. Can you describe sort of what goes into that? Dragon boat racing. If you don't know, now you know, right?
And it looks entertaining, that's for sure.
Let's get it in the Olympics next. How about that? When players wanted to take it easy during Kenny Dillingham's first spring football practice, he wouldn't let them, emphasizing tempo, energy, and competitive spirit to set the tone. The WM Phoenix Open is also home to several special events, including the 2nd annual Concert in the Coliseum on February 4th, with a performance from Maroon 5 and country artist Walker Hayes live from the 16th hole. So Ben, not a crazy blockbuster deal, right? But maybe it's addition by subtraction.
Well, exactly what you said.
With all the great teams Arizona has had over the years, it's hard to believe it's been 23 years since the Wildcats last reached the Final Four. But first, they got to get past another tough-minded, physical team in Clemson. And she's not limiting herself to just the mic or the match. She plans on making a career out of both. That's right, but the most remarkable part of Tayon's story is what he had to overcome off the court. Cronkite News reporter Diego Iniguez has more on the senior's comeback.
And Carolyn, for her just to be able to start her basketball journey and to be able to mix in her Jewish identity as well, how big is this for her and to be able to share this with her?
It was like that all season, and it played out like that once again Monday. Dominance till the very end. At State Farm Stadium, Jonah Krell, Cronkite News. Missed layups, missed free throws, missed three-pointers. There were a plethora of missed opportunities for Arizona Thursday, as it fell short to 6-seeded Clemson in its Sweet 16 matchup, 77-72. The Wildcats went over 10 minutes in the second half without hitting a field goal, leaving everyone dumbfounded after the game.
I took the shots that I usually work on. They just didn't fall for me tonight, and it was obviously the worst time that it couldn't fall.
We got to live with it. Shoot shots you practice, you shoot them in the game. Falls, it falls. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But you keep shooting them regardless.
After a sluggish first half, the Wildcats went on a quick run to start the second, and the game was back and forth the rest of the way. But on the backs of veterans P.J. Hall and Chase Hunter, Clemson stayed poised with key buckets down the stretch, and Arizona showed lapses defensively.
We dug deep and we got ourselves back in the game, but we were just never able to take that next step. So, they executed a few really good plays down the stretch they got us on.
Arizona also struggled to deal with Clemson's slow pace, which limited the Wildcats from finding a rhythm.
We let them dictate the game, the more stop we get, the faster we're gonna run, So I feel like we didn't do a really good job making them miss shots, so we could actually run.
The loss now marks a brutal stretch for the Wildcats in the NCAA tournament, as they've lost to a team seated at least 4 spots below them in their last 6 tournament appearances. That is the longest streak by any team in the country since seeding began back in 1979. In Los Angeles, Jonah Krell, Cronkite News.
With 40 years as the head coach of Arizona State women's tennis, Sheila McInerney's priority has always been about her players. Handwriting notes to recruits, paying for road trip meals out of her pocket, and putting grades first.
Yeah, and on the court, she's mastered the delicate balance between keeping it fun and bringing intensity to get the most out of her team. McInerney was named head coach at just 26 years old in 1984, and today she celebrates her 66th birthday. I had the chance to sit down with her to talk about the impact and legacy she continues to leave on the Sun Devils. From her courtside view, Sheila McInerney's focus is always forward, a luxury she's earned after 40 years at the helm of ASU women's tennis.
I had opportunities, particularly when younger, to go to different places and was recruited by different schools, but I always enjoyed being here.
But McInerney is the exception. Surviving the constant coaching carousel in collegiate athletics is no small feat, but the petite McInerney looms large over the Whiteman Tennis Center in Tempe, a testament to the relationship she forges and her competitive spirit.
Anything that she does, she wants to do well, and I think that's what you see out on the court, whether that's, working with the players, she wants to bring the best out in them. She wants to bring the best out in the team. I guess something that maybe a lot of people don't really realize past the whole, super nice lady, super caring person and things like that. But yeah, super competitive.
McInerney grew up in Rome, New York, playing tennis at a park across the street from her house. She played at USC on scholarship, where she contributed to 3 national championships. While still in college, McInerney played the legendary Billie Jean King as an amateur in the 1977 US Open. She turned pro in 1980, then returned to USC as an assistant coach in 1983, and a year later, at just 26 years old, McInerney got the head job in Tempe, a title she's held ever since.
I was never the most talented person. I mean, I'm 5'4", pushing it, probably 5'3 3/4", and I never had a big type of game, so I had to sort of grind, I always used to perspire a lot when I was on the court, so I sort of had to do it the hard way.
But as a coach, McInerney has made it look easy. When she took over an already successful program from Ann Pittman, she kept the winning tradition alive. The Sun Devils have been to 35 straight NCAA tournaments and have finished every season during her tenure ranked in the top 40 nationally, while McInerney herself has won 2 Pac-12 Coach of the Year honors.
You get new girls every year, pretty much, or every 4. So having, to coach them up and show them the culture a little bit, that's impressive. It's not a one-time thing, it's a consistent thing.
Amid 4 decades of winning, the sport of tennis has changed drastically, from rackets to recruiting. Perhaps McInerney's biggest strength? Her ability to adapt and keep up with the times.
And even a few years ago, she was teaching me how to contact like this person. And I was like, I had no idea, so she was also teaching me about technology, I was very impressed by that. Like normally I was like, that's my edge, I can teach Sheila that.
Probably one of the first collegiate programs that were teaching open stance forehand. That was 35 years ago. And so same thing, you just gotta make sure you're adapting and have good people around you too that can complement you for what you do.
But the true legacy is that to her student athletes, she is Sheila, not Coach McInerney, an emphasis on the person before the player.
Once I knew she had my back, I could be myself, I could mess up speaking English. It was a game changer for me. It was like a second mom. She was a second mom, she truly cared for us.
My family life was a little bit crazy before I got there, and she just, really helped me kind of steady myself and keep moving forward. It wasn't all about winning and losing, but it was also important to her that we graduated and that we were happy.
I talked to Nadia Abdallah for this, and she sort of coined what you've built here as a culture of care. Can you describe sort of what goes into that?
What's the saying? The kids want to know how much you care more than how much you know. Basically, you're responsible. I'm not married. I don't have kids of my own, but they're basically your kids for the time that they're here. And you certainly want to treat your kids really well. So you do the same thing with them.
Of course, the ultimate question: when will Sheila hang it up? The drive is still there, and she simply still loves the job. Is there any sign of you slowing down, or are you not thinking about that?
No, I think you take it 1 year at a time. I think that's super important. I think the one thing, though, too, I think it's important that, when you always want to leave the program probably better than you found it, if you can. You love tennis, you love the kids, you love the whole team aspect of it, and I think that's, how could anything be better, really? Yeah. You get paid to do this for 40 years, are you kidding me, right?
4 decades strong and still going. A dream job for a lifetime.